Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Aaliyah.
Thank you.
I would love for you to share with the listeners a little bit about who you are and what your story is.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take it all the way back to when I was 17. I wanted to start my first business because it was the summer break between my junior and senior year. I didn't have my driver's license, and there really wasn't much to do in my small town in central Illinois. And so because of that, I had the fun idea, I'm going to be a business owner. I had no idea what my business was going to be. I just woke up one day and I'm like, I'm going to be a business owner. So I told my mom before she went to work, Mom, I'm going to be a business owner. And she's like, okay. And so I had to sit down and I'm thinking to myself, what can I start a business about? And so I combined my love of going to the local boutiques in the area with my love of thrift shopping. And I used my initials to give myself accountability. And that's how I created AK Boutique at 17 years old. Moving into my senior year, I was growing a business, my revenue was growing, and I didn't know what to do with the money. So I dug into personal finance books and found a love for personal finance through that and some of the free online content that was becoming available. To give you a little bit of perspective about my age, I'm pretty young when it comes to financial professionals. I was 17 in 2017 and born in the year 2000. So that's just a little bit of context for the listeners and viewers because it's really important when it comes to the development of technology to know where we're at. So I grew my business and got in contact with the FIRE movement when I was about 18. I realized that that's something I was really passionate about and I was going to pursue it. And generating multiple streams of income was super important to me. I chose to enlist as a way to carry on the family military tradition, but I also recognized it would be an additional stream of income. And so, in addition to running a business, I chose to join the military and develop a few streams of income along the side as I went to college. When I was working, I was injured on the job as I was serving and found out that I was going to be medically discharged, which is not what I was hoping for. I was really wanting to serve 20 years because I was very passionate about being in the military. I was a chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear soldier, or CBRN. And for people who happen to be military connected in the audience, you know that a person passionate about CBRN just is Kim to the core, as they say. So it was a little bit of a shock for me to be discharged, and I was preparing the cash flow change as I was going through the process. I was also in the process of graduating from college, so there were some other pieces moving. But then I found out that because the incident happened on what's called line of duty, I was officially medically retired. And so the difference between a discharge and a retirement is that I now get a pension. So I spent not many years, but all of my adult life dreaming of retiring early and having the opportunity to have a floor of income. But it was honestly a shock when I found out that I was going to be retired at 23, and I was not emotionally prepared for it. So I'm thinking if you are a member of the FIRE movement and you're saving if something unexpected happens, it could be a windfall or like me, I got a pension early. It is life-changing, but also bittersweet because you don't expect it whenever you do expect it. So that's a little bit about my story. Despite the fact that I am technically retired, I am still passionate about financial literacy, financial wellness. I am training to be a financial planner. That is my career pivot right now. And I'm also the founder of the Financial Literacy Diaries and the director of public relations for the Financial Literacy Foundation.
Amazing. You said being a pensioner at a young age. However, you have that entrepreneurial spark. It's in your blood. If
Yeah,
you were out creating a business when you were 17, that drive is never going to go away. I remember me being in elementary school, making bracelets and selling them on the playground. Just
I love that.
being an entrepreneur is in my blood, right? If I had the opportunity just to, I don't know, go sit on a beach all day, sure, that'd be fun for a few days, but I just can't not go out there and create something of value for other people. So it's in your blood. I know it's in there. So you
Exactly.
created this little boutique at a
Yeah.
young age. And do you still have that boutique today?
Yeah, so the story of the boutique, I normally don't go into the weeds unless I'm asked, is I started off with $50, my mom's garage, and then I went to pop-ups, and that's how I started building my audience, and I also started a Facebook page back when that was, like, the cool thing to do was start a Facebook page. It was 2016, 2017. That was before Facebook became Meta and before short form content was really big. So I started a Facebook page. I grew my page with static posts and sharing my story, which was pretty fun. I didn't really have much of a story at that point, but I was still very story oriented and I wanted to share. I'm a teenager. I'm really excited about what I do. I'm really passionate about this and I'm wanting to build expertise in the resale clothing market. So between the pop-up shops and building on the Facebook page, I built enough of a customer base to have a reliable stream of income that allowed me to invest in advertising and marketing. And I had my first brick and mortar my second half of my senior year in high school. I went to high school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then had the boutique open from 3 to 8. Then I would go home. I came from a really small town. My hometown is Athens, not Athens, Illinois. And so the school, the post office, my boutique, and my home were all within, I think, a good square mile of each other. So everything was really small, but it allowed me to have this really awesome schedule. I originally wasn't going to go to college. I had a hard time going through school. I was very rebellious. I'm like, I'm going to drop out. I'm going to be $1 million business owner. I don't need to do this. I ended up winning a scholarship through my school, and that prompted me to go to community college. I fell in love with community college, so I started running the business while I was in community college. And what I didn't realize is all the resources available to startups and business owners as you're going through college. So, because of those resources that were newly available to me, I was able to scale to a second brick and mortar location. I had over $300,000 in inventory. I had a few employees, and I was absolutely loving it. So that was at the point where I decided that I was going to continue the family tradition to enlist. I closed down the two boutiques and then moved online. I am still currently online and I have a website up. I originally was planning to reopen a boutique whenever I got graduated from college. I didn't realize I'd meet my husband and get married, nor did I realize I'd go to grad school because I actually fell in love with the college experience as I was going through. That's a little bit more about the boutique.
Cool. That's really neat. So then you hit this point where you have now a kind of a fixed piece of income coming in for you. So how are you managing your money now that you've kind of
Absolutely.
shifted a bit?
So I had a really long conversation with my husband, and how we divide our finances is maybe a little bit different than how other people divide their finances. He comes probably from a more traditional situation, and we've decided that his career as a software engineer would be used for us to have the stability. And then I can be the risky one, if that makes sense. So, having a floor of income for us became less about having more vacations and having more opportunities to relax and more about having the floor that we need to invest in other business ventures. It's very nice. It's prevented us from having to go into debt to launch any new ventures that we have. It's allowed me to maintain the boutique and it gives me a little bit of peace of mind. And I think that's the biggest thing. I view that floor of income as peace of mind.
Interesting. And that makes sense. And your husband, is he on board for kind of the idea of the fire movement too?
I am not 100% sure. I've had conversations with him about it. He really likes working.
Mhm.
So I don't know if he wants to retire early, but he's a huge fan of financial independence. His parents are property managers in China. And so he has been brought up in the real estate market in China. We are planning to have our own modest portfolio here in the States, but we've not started that yet because we are 23 and 25.
Mhm. Yeah, that's neat. I had a guest on the podcast earlier this week, and they talked about financial independence, live early instead of financial independence, retire early. And it was like,
Yeah,
how can you add more pieces of the living? Like so many people think, oh, when I retire, then I'm going to get to do these certain things. They're like, why not figure out how to add those pieces of the puzzle of your one day dreams into your life now. So for like you, you're getting to be more risky and take entrepreneurial adventures and stuff. So
Absolutely.
you're kind of getting to live that lifestyle of the financial independence and live early.
Absolutely. And I don't think that you should put an age on when you're wanting to live, right? I mean, retirement is a very technical thing. Retirement means leaving the workforce. Retirement means drawing a pension. It can mean different things for different people, but most of the time it means leaving the workforce between the ages of 55 to 65, and retiring early would be 45 and under. That's
Mm.
pretty much what I've understood about the movement as I've done my research on it and I've become a part of it in a very outsider way. I hadn't really fully entered the workforce before I left the workforce in a traditional sense, right? Like I was not a 9 to 5 person who got tired of their 9 to 5 and then chose to leave their 9 to 5, or got tired of the 9 to 5 and chose to retire 20 years early because I was tired of it. I came into this situation in a very unique way, and it is a very unique situation. I recognize that. I do think that my husband and I do really prioritize living. We love flexibility. He does not currently have a remote position, but over the last few months, he's been having the opportunity to have a remote position. We've had basically an extended honeymoon from February to June because neither one of us have had to go into an office. And we basically get to travel whenever we want. But for the most part, we are homebodies. We love spending time with our 2 cats.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like you have to find those pieces of your lifestyle that make you
Yeah.
curious and fully embrace that. So you were talking about going into becoming a financial advisor, correct?
Yes.
That's your newest piece. And I also know that you did some community service after you were Miss Illinois. So you can share that piece of your story and how you went into the school systems and were actually helping share financial advocacy. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. So becoming a financial planner was something that I became very passionate about. I was placed in the financial planning program at my college. I went from community college to undergraduate, and I wanted to go down the traditional path of being an accountant because that's the mapped out path. I have a few friends who became accountants and they have very balanced, fulfilled lives as an accountant. And so I was planning for that to be my path. I thought I would get a 9 to 5 for a little bit, have my other streams, and coast until I could get to that position where I could retire early. Instead, the school placed me in financial planning, and I didn't even know this was a major. It was the most perfect fit for me possible. In financial services, there's a really broad range of ways that you can work. One of my professors and the director of the program, Dr. Craig Lemoyne, talks about the 12 tribes of financial planning a lot. So if you have someone who's interested in the FIRE movement, really loves helping people, and actually wants to get into a career in financial services, the 12 tribes of financial planning is a really great thing to check out. And so far, I have been really exploring the entrepreneurial side. So that way I can set my own hours, I can build my own processes and services, which I'm very excited about. So I finished my degree for that back in December, which was like 2 months before I got married. And I graduated 10 days after I was officially discharged. So it was like a wild time, absolutely insane. And I am very excited to move forward with a career in that. I chose to go to grad school. However, I'm still gaining relevant experience. In order to be what's called a CFP, a certified financial planner, you have to have 6,000 relevant career hours or 4,000 apprenticeship hours. I'm going the traditional path, going to get the 6,000 hours. And I'm currently doing something really cool called the externship, which is giving me real world experience, completely virtual. And I'm able to do it from my laptop whenever I want. But that was the piece about being a financial planner. I am moving forward with that career path. I'm taking a longer way to get there, and I am going to find the perfect firm and eventually start my own firm, hopefully, over time. As far as Miss Illinois United States, I did have that unique opportunity. I did pageants when I was a little girl. I officially started working when I was 10 because I did modeling and acting. And this was something that was all my idea too. My mom wasn't the type of person to like push me in things and tell me, you have to do this. I saw toddlers and tiaras. I was, Mom, I want to do this. And she was very confused. We worked together. I was 10. We worked together. We went on Google and we found what's called natural pageants. So, not the fake hair, not the fake teeth. They helped me build my confidence a lot. I love being on stage. I am probably meant to be a performer at heart. And from there, I was scouted by an agency in Chicago. That's how I started my career in modeling and acting. I've moved agencies a couple of times, found my best fit in St. Louis at an agency called Images Agency. And I decided when I was going through this that I made a certain amount of money. This was my first income stream. I made a certain amount of money marketing products and services for other people. I could probably maximize the value for doing products and services for myself. That's why I started the boutique in part. I had the experience from watching other people create campaigns and being the talent for that. Then I did that for myself with my boutique. So I came in to having a boutique already with 6 years of experience in creating campaigns, modeling, acting, and getting to see that whole process from the ground up. I started coordinating photo shoots then too. So that is how I got into pageants, modeling, and acting. And then I left it when I started my business so I could have complete ownership, complete control. I wasn't doing something for someone else, and it felt really good. I chose to try again because I was very platform oriented. Financial literacy means a lot to me because I was a first generation university student and a former foster child. So, giving other people like me the opportunity to empower themselves economically and create a more level playing field in this fabulous world of business is something I was super passionate about. And I won, I think, mostly because of my passion, because I had something to say and I was on a mission. I got to share my message at Miss United States. It was a national platform. What an excellent opportunity. And I was able to use the statewide title to go to different schools and talk about financial literacy. I spoke with students from ages kindergarten to high school. And I also started an online campaign called the Financial Literacy Diaries to address the adult financial education gap that I discovered as I was speaking through to K through 12 students.
And what kind of gap was that? What was illuminated for you?
A lot of people, a lot of teachers, whenever I was teaching basic things with first graders, it was, why does mommy and daddy or primary caretaker go to work? With third graders, it was the Roblox economy. That was a killer. Roblox economy really resonated with them for some reason. With high schoolers, it was the cost and benefit analysis of college. I was able to teach them what a cost benefit analysis was and how they can perform that themselves when they're choosing whether or not they want to go to college, or if they choose they want to go to college, what degree they're selecting. A lot of teachers were like, I never learned this. I never learned this. I never learned it at school. I never learned it at home. I had to figure all of that out on my own, and I don't even feel like I'm doing this correctly. So that's why the Financial Literacy Diaries was created, and that's why I'm focused on building out very basic introduction level content to supplement the lack of information, perhaps, or the gaps in the information that a lot of adults don't even realize that they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I come across it all the time where people say that exact thing. I wish I was taught this in school, or I wish someone
Yeah.
could have taught me this at an age where I could have started things a lot sooner, right? So you have your very own podcast coming out, don't you?
Yes, and it is called the Financial Literacy Diaries, and I've recorded a few episodes. I'm hoping to release one very soon. I've said no later than fall 2024, but I'm thinking we're going to be coming up on releasing in the summer.
Okay, that sounds great. And where else can people reach out and connect with you?
Absolutely. So I have a website, aaliyahkissick.com. I'm on Instagram at Aaliyah Kissick, and then I'm on Twitter as well at Aaliyah Kissick.
Okay, well, that's simple. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Leah.
Thank you so much for having me.